In the beginning, the Jewish people trace their origins to the 12 tribes of Israel, descendants of the patriarch Jacob, whose sons formed the foundation of a covenantal relationship with God, as described in the Torah. Emerging from slavery in Egypt around the 13th century BCE, the Israelites faced their first collective trial, the Exodus. Enslaved under Pharaoh's regime, they endured harsh labor and oppression until Moses led them to freedom. A journey marked by wandering and survival in the desert for 40 years. This formative experience of liberation and covenant at Mount Sinai shaped their identity as a people chosen to uphold God's law. After settling in the land of Israel, the tribes faced cycles of conquest and subjugation. The Assyrian conquest in 722 BCE obliterated the northern kingdom of Israel, scattering 10 of the tribes into exile, where they became the lost tribes, their fates largely unknown. The southern kingdom of Judah persisted until the Babylonian conquest in 586 BC, when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the first temple in Jerusalem and exiled the Jews to Babylon. This Babylonian exile was a crucible of despair, yet it fostered a new emphasis on scripture and communal worship, preserving Jewish identity in the absence of a homeland. The return to Judea under Persian rule allowed the rebuilding of the Second Temple, but peace was fleeting. The Hellenistic period brought cultural pressures under Seleucid rule, culminating in the Maccabean Revolt in 167 to 160 BCE against forced assimilation. Though victorious, internal divisions and Roman conquest in 63 BCE subjected the Jews to new oppressions. The destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans in 70 CE, following the Jewish revolt, was catastrophic. Jerusalem was razed, and countless Jews were killed, enslaved, or dispersed across the Roman Empire, marking the start of the Jewish diaspora. In the Roman Empire, they were often scapegoated for societal woes, facing discriminatory laws and sporadic violence. The rise of Christianity in Europe intensified anti-Semitism, as Jews were falsely blamed for the death of Jesus. Medieval Europe was particularly brutal. Jews were confined to ghettos, subjected to blood libels, and expelled from nations like England in 1290, France in 1306, and Spain in 1492. The Spanish Inquisition forced conversions or exile, while pogroms, violent mob attacks erupted in Eastern Europe, particularly in the Russian Empire, where Jews were restricted to the Pale of Settlement and endured massacres, such as those during the Khmelnytsky Uprising. As Christian persecution intensified, particularly after the expulsion of 1492, many Jews found refuge in the Ottoman Empire. Sultan Bayezid II welcomed Jews, valuing their economic and intellectual contributions. Cities like Constantinople, Salonika, and Seft became vibrant Jewish centers. During the medieval period, Jewish communities found refuge in several regions, often where political, religious, or economic conditions were more tolerant. Before the Christian Reconquista, Muslim-ruled Spain was a haven for Jews. Under relatively tolerant Islamic regimes, Jews enjoyed periods of prosperity, contributing to a golden age of Jewish culture with figures like They faced fewer restrictions than in Christian Europe, engaging in trade, scholarship, and administration. The 20th century brought the Holocaust, the nadir of Jewish suffering. Under Nazi Germany's genocidal ideology, led by Adolf Hitler, Jews were dehumanized as the ultimate enemy. From 1933, Nazi policies stripped Jews of rights, confiscated property, and confined them to ghettos. The final solution, implemented during World War II, aimed to annihilate European Jewry. 6 million Jews, 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population, were murdered in death camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor, through gas chambers, mass shootings, starvation, and forced labor. Entire communities were erased, and survivors emerged scarred, often finding no homes or families to return to. Throughout this history, Jewish suffering was met with remarkable resilience. From the preservation of Torah study in Babylonian exile to the revival of Hebrew and the establishment of Israel in 1948, the Jewish people maintained their identity, faith, and hope. The Holocaust, while a singular catastrophe, is part of a long continuum of persecution, yet it also underscores the enduring spirit of a people who, despite immense loss, rebuilt and thrived.